Okay. Now, these particular instructions, if they ask you for a fraction, it's going to be a proper, an improper, or a whole number. Now, don't give mom a decimal answer if it doesn't ask for one. Some of you are going to get very frustrated with mom because you are going to expect that you are going to have in this particular case. Okay. Giving a correct decimal. Well, mom isn't going to take it. Unless mom asks you for it, do not give it. Now, in this case, you have to remember what this line means. This line says you're dividing. But to solve, you do the opposite of dividing, which means you have to know that there is a number 1 up here. We're solving for k, which means we are multiplying by the reciprocal of both sides, which means that I am multiplying by 5. This 5 and this 5 cancel. That's how I have the k by itself. Now, 2 is technically over 1. So I would get 2 times 5 is 10, and the denominator would have a 1. I don't need to write a 1. I solve by using the opposite of dividing. Now, let's make it a little more interesting. Okay. Now, this one is, again, asking you to solve. Now, you also have to recognize I have a negative and a negative. So, to solve for m, I am dividing by -2 on both sides. Or I can use the reciprocal of -1/2. Okay. So I can do either one. Okay. The easier part is if I divide by -2. Okay. This would give me -7/3 divided by -2/1. That would mean this fraction would have to flip. Because remember, we're dividing. Okay. If I divide, I would use the reciprocal. But what's the easier way of doing it? Taking -2m is equal to -7/3, and I am going to use the reciprocal, which is negative 1/2. It technically is the same thing that I did up here, because these 2's are going to cancel, and it will leave me with a positive m. But remember, negative times negative is positive. Now, the answer will be 7/6. Okay. 7/6. Now, this is the fraction answer. Be aware, reduce does not mean write as a mixed number. Reduce does not mean give a mixed number. It means give a simplified fraction, which is 7/6. Now, are there any questions with the first 2 that I've done? Any questions?
Oh, good. I follow.
Okay. Well, now, here comes a nice one. Okay. Now, this is asking you to use decimals, and they're asking you to solve for x. Now, nearest 1,000 means 3 decimal places. And for those of you who don't know, 3 decimal places for the word thousandths is the fact that the number 1,000, in case you didn't recognize, the number 1,000 has 3 zeros. If it has 3 zeros, that's how many decimal places I need. Now, with this one, I don't have a problem if you use a calculator, but you've got to give mom exactly what mom wants. Now, you can do this 2 ways. I like to take this positive 2t and subtract 2t from both sides. Now remember, 2 is 2.0t. Now, why did I do that? Because when I put these 2 terms together, I am going to get a positive answer. And that positive answer is 1.6t. I go for the positive. Then I am going to take this -12 and bring it to this side. But I'm doing the opposite. I'm adding 12.65 to both sides. Now, be careful here. You have a positive and a negative number. So therefore, we are subtracting to get a positive 9.55. Okay. And then I divide by 1.6. Now, my calculator is going to show t as 5.96875. This is what my calculator shows. 3 decimal places. That means this 8, which has the 7 behind it, is going to give me 5.969 as my final answer. Okay. Now, are there any questions with this? Okay, here we go. Now, I want to see in the chat room, and that means everybody gets to respond, okay? What is the value of x for this problem? Okay, and I'm going to bring it over here. So in the chat room, what is the value of x for this problem? Can you solve it? Can you get my answer? What am I going to get? Now remember, Zoom is recording the fact that you respond. So if you don't respond, Zoom isn't going to tell me you didn't reply. So you gotta answer the question. This should be one from 481. Can you find x? What am I going to get? What is the value for x in this particular problem? Okay, Joseph, you can't give a decimal, okay? Because if you look at these instructions, it says solve for x. Do not convert your answer to a decimal. Aiken, you got it. Yay, Jonathan, you got it. Okay.
Oh yeah, I just looked over my work again, and yeah, I got the fraction, but then I thought that I had to go further and provide a decimal, but yes, I've gotten the fraction that everyone's saying right now.
Great. And Joseph, I am so glad you did that. The reason is you are needing to be aware when you do your homework. Mom is very specific. You've got to give them what they ask you for. And if you had put a decimal answer in Mom, no matter how many times you put it in Mom, Mom will say it's wrong. It's just Mom. Okay.
Yeah, I'm used to Alex just taking a fraction or a decimal. That's why. So I guess I sort of had to work around that. Sort of like fit into this new
form. That's why I
I
try to be very specific at the beginning, because some people who have used Alex or who have used Pearson, they will take a decimal as well as a fraction. Mom does not.
All right.
Yay! Okay. So for those of you, yes, negative 35/3 is correct. And I also got somebody say, well, how did they get it? Well, very easy. First off, combine these two terms. They're on the same side, which gives me positive 5x minus 18 is equal to 8x plus 17. Now, as I said, I like to keep my x's positive, so I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. This gives me 3x. I then am going to take and subtract 17 from both sides. And then I divide by 3. So my x is the improper fraction, negative 35 over 10. Great job. Yay! Okay. Any question?
So improper fractions can be submitted into MOM as long as it is the correct fraction?
Correct, Joseph. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Now, this one. Okay. I want to make sure you know to distribute. This 7 goes to x, but this 7 goes to positive 4. You're multiplying. This negative 3 is multiplying by x. But be careful here. This is a negative 5. Negative 3 times a negative 5 gives me a positive 15. Now, I'm going to combine terms. I'm going to put these two together, which gives me 7x plus 30. And I'm going to put these two together. This is going to give me a positive 6. Now, again, I am adding 3x this time, which gives me, and I'll write it over here, 10x. But then I am going to subtract 30 from both sides, which is going to give me a negative 24. Now, right here, enter your answer as the nearest 10th. This is a decimal to one place. So when I divide, my x is going to be a negative 2.4. This is the setup of MOM. Okay. Now, any questions? Okay. This is my last equation. Now, this equation has fractions. Now, I'm very nice to you. I am giving you a hint. Use the LCD. Well, the LCD goes to the denominator of 4, 6. And in case you don't realize it, that 3 has a 1 underneath it. The LCD for 4 and 6 is 12. Okay. Now, someone just asked, could I use 24? Yes, I could take and multiply 4 times 6 and get 24. But I will let you know you're going to need to make sure you reduce your final fraction. But 12, what am I going to do with that 12? I'm going to multiply 1/4 x by 12 over 1. I'm going to take 1/6 and multiply by 12 over 1. But I also have to remember to multiply the 3 over the 1 by 12. Because now I can cross cancel. This 4 and this 12 are going to give me 3x. This 6 and this 12, when I cross cancel, are going to give me 2. And this is going to give me 36. This was the hardest part of the whole problem, because now all I'm doing is subtracting 2. I get 3x is equal to 34. And when I divide by 3, my x is 34 over 3. This is my answer. The hardest part was this, LCD. Now, if you use the number 24, which you could do, okay, you will find that you would have gotten 68 over 6. Okay, I can live with that, but I got to reduce 68 over 6, which would give me 34 over 3. Okay. Now, any question with this one? Okay. Then, now we get into the wonderful world of factoring. Okay. Now, this is known as factoring by grouping. It's grouping because I have 4 terms. Grouping is done by 4 terms. Now, the key is the fact that this particular grouping has 3 GCFs in it. 2 that are monomial, 1 that's a binomial. Now, also, this little negative in the middle is crucial. And you will see why. Okay. This negative has got to come down. Whatever that sign is, it's got to come down. Now, your first GCF comes from these 2 terms. What is in common? It is the y. Now, some people can do this in their head. Some people like to write it down. I'm going to write it down today to help those of you who struggled. This means I'm dividing just these 2 terms by y. What it will leave me with is x plus 3 in parentheses. In case you don't know, and maybe you were told, factoring is dividing out. Factoring means divide out. That y that I put right here and here was how I factored. Now, notice I put that little negative sign? Well, here's why. These 2 terms Okay. What do they have in common? They have a factor of 7. But this is the twist. I am dividing the last 2 terms by -7. That red or middle sign is the second greatest common factor. It's negative. And when I divide out, notice what I get in the parentheses. I get an x plus 3. This green is your first GCF. This blue is your second GCF with the middle sign. And then, where's my third? Oh, right here. This is a binomial greatest common factor, which means I am dividing out x plus 3. Well, if I divide out, basically, I'm getting rid of them. And what's left is my y minus 7. This is my factored answer. I'm dividing out. Okay. The binomial x plus 3 is my third GCF that I divide out of this line. Now, before I go any further, are there questions? Okay. Your turn. Okay. What is one of the factors of this next set of polynomials? Okay. Okay. Now, I only want one of them. You're going to have to get 2, but you're going to have to decide which one's right. Okay. So what am I going to get? Okay. What am I going to get? What is one of the factors of this next set of polynomials? And I should say, of this polynomial. That's probably better English. What am I going to get? That's one of them, Caitlin. Yay! Okay, Joseph, try again. Try again, Harrison. Caitlin got one of them. Okay. Elizabeth Aitken, you got the other one. Yes, you guys are great. Yes, you got it. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, be careful. This sign, it's not leaving me. It's staying here. These two. The first greatest common factor is a squared. I'm dividing out, which is a plus 5. Because remember, factor means divide out. So Nicholas, you're on a roll, but we got to get the other one too. Now, this one, 8 and 40 have a greatest common factor of 8. But you've got to be careful. You are dividing out by -8, which gives you a plus 5. Okay, Haley. No, it's not going to be a plus 5, a minus 5. If you get two different ones, if this red one had a negative sign, you can't factor. Aiden, yes, you got it. This is going to give you a plus 5. This is the third GCF. And Jonathan, yes, this is a squared minus 8. This is my final factor. Now, someone just asked, could I have written a squared minus 8 and put a plus 5 in the back? Yes, both of these are correct. And just ask yourself, if I did 2 times 3, that equals 6. But couldn't I also write 3 times 2 and get 6? Yes. Both of these are correct. Now, I will let you know that Mom does like to put this one first a lot of times because it is the third GCF. But do you have to? No. And before I forget, if you think your answer in Mom is correct, send me a note. Say, ask my instructor. Say, I believe I got the right answer. Because occasionally, Mom does mark you wrong when you're right. Bad on Mom. But I do fix it. Okay. Now, with that said, here comes one that some of you have already started to struggle with and ask me about. Now, this is one that is unique to Mom. Okay, this is asking you to factor the trinomial. Now, some of you are going to factor it perfectly. You're going to get 2 factors that work. But here's the little catch. This is what makes the difference. It is telling you that when you write it in the form of AX minus B, CX minus D, it must fit this condition. Now, Also notice it says without removing a GCF. Now, I'm going to let you know that this problem, 28, 74, 48, you could divide by 2, and you could make it smaller. But this problem isn't going to let you do that. It's not going to let you get away with that. So therefore, you're going to have to use 28 and 48, and I'm going to tell you now, the numbers are going to be big. It's just the way the program is set up. Now, I'm going to show you how I factor this. And I like to use it by grouping. Now, the way I do it is I take and write 28a squared minus, which means I'm taking this term and this minus, and then behind it, I'm going to put a blank, a circle, a blank, and then I'm going to put plus 48. Okay. Now, the blank, circle, blank is what I need to do to make 74A. So I already know that this has got to have an A, and this has got to have an A, because 74 has an A. But here comes the fun part. Oh, I can tell you're so excited. How do we determine how to find the factor? Well, first off, go right here to this circle. Okay. This circle is crucial because it's going to tell you what combination of numbers I'm going to need. Now, how I do it is I ask myself, negative times the sign I put here has got to give me a positive sign. The negative in front of the first green blank times whatever I put in the circle has got to give me a positive sign. And that means this is negative. Now, why is that crucial? Because if the blanks have the same sign in front, you are going to be adding the numbers on the blanks to make 74. Okay. Because if the blanks have the same sign in front of the green blanks, you are going to be adding the numbers on the blanks to make 74. Well, how do I get those numbers? Well, you're going to take (28) and 48, and you are going to multiply them together. Okay. So 28 times 48 gives me 1,344. Okay. Now, some people say they really don't need to multiply them together? Because they can just say, okay, if I take 28 plus 48, I get 76. Okay. Okay. 28 plus 48 equals 76. Well, I need 74. So that means I've got to either go a little bit smaller than 28 or a little bit bigger. Well, okay. Okay. Well, let's try going a little bit smaller. Okay. Now, this is where your calculator is going to be very important. And by the way, I let you do it and use it. If I take 1344 and divide by 24, okay, I am going to get the numbers 24 and 56. Okay. So if I take 24 plus 56, oh, that gave me 80. That means I'm going in the wrong direction. Well, let's try 1,344 and divide by 32. So I have 32 plus 42. Bingo! I got 74. I got 74. These two add to give me 74. Now notice, I used 1,344, but I also started with the two factors that I initially began with. And because the blanks said I had to add, I know which way to go. Well, the nice part about it is I am going to be able to put 32 and 42 in either place. Okay. Now, how did I get 32 and 42? Very good question, Lupe. Okay, let me show you how I did it. Okay. Now, first off, you take the 28 and the 48 that are in the original problem and multiply them together. Okay. Now, because I know that I have two negative signs, I know I'm going to be adding, Lupe. Well, let's just start with the two numbers I have. 28 and 48 were my starting numbers. When I add them together, I get 76. I want 74. That's too big. Now, notice the number 28. 28, when you think of the factors of 28, it's 4 times 7. Okay. Well, what I did was I took that 28 and I went down to the next number in the 4's times tables that happened to be 24. Well, then I take this number, 1,344, And using my calculator, I hit 1344 divided by 24. The number that was 4 units smaller, or think about 28 is 4 times 7. Go 4 times 6. That's where I got 24. Well, 24, when I divide it into 1,344, I get 56. Well, I add 24 and 56 together, I get 80. Well, 80 is bigger than 74. So I went in the wrong direction. Well, then 4 times 7 is 28. Well, what about 4 times 8? Well, 4 times 8 is where I got 32. Now I go back. I take 1344 and I divide by 32. Well, I get the whole number 48. Well, if I add 42 and 32, I get 74, the number that's in the middle. Okay. Does that answer your question? Hey! Okay. Well, now I'm going to put 32 here, and I'm going to put 42 here. Well, remember, that sign's negative. These two terms have a 4a in common. This will give me 7a minus 8. Now, these two terms just happen to have a 6, but don't forget, it's negative 6, which is going to give me 7a minus 8. Okay. These are my factors. 7a minus 8, 4a minus 6. That's what I got. Now, I'm going to go to my next slide to finish this problem. Okay. Here we go. I just wrote 7a minus 8, 4a minus 6. But I have to remember this part. They want me to have ax minus b times cx minus d. Well, this 7 would be my a. The b would be my 8. The c would be 4. The d would be 6. Look at these two. Is 7 less than 4? No. So my a has to be 4a minus 6. This has got to be 7a minus 8, which means the A is 4. Now, the B is just 6. It's not negative. It's just 6. C would be 7, and D would be 8. This is what Mom is going to be looking for. You're stuck. It's got to be this way. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Your turn. Okay. This is the problem. Okay. Tell me what A, B, C, and D are in this problem. What is A? What is B? What is C? What is D? What is A? What is B? What is C in this problem? Who's going to get it? I moved the slide. Who's going to get it? I hate it when it does that. There we go. Oh, I hate it when it does that. Okay. Okay, Adam, try again. Is your A less than your C value? Well, I can tell you, Elizabeth, you're on the right track. You got the A term, but the A is just the number in front of X. So some of you are on a roll. What are you going to get? What are we gonna get? Try again, Adam. You got some of it. Okay, Kyle, you got the right factors. But what's A? What's B? What's C? Okay, I have a couple people who are saying I'm giving up. Can't give up. I don't allow that. Yay, Nicholas, you got it. Yes. Kevin, try again. Okay. Itzel, A is right. Now, Jonathan, do not put the negative in front of the 3 for B or in front of the 5. There's no negatives. It's just the letter. Okay. Yay! Now you're getting it. Okay. For those of you who wrote and said, I give up, for those of you who said, I'm stuck, okay, you're going to have some of these in Mom. I can't help it. This is the way it is. Now, again, this is how I do it because the numbers are big. I write 40x squared minus blank, circle blank, plus 15. Now, this has got to have a negative. Negative times this sign has to give me positive. Because the two blanks have the same sign, I'm adding. And someone just asked, well, what happens if the signs are different? If the signs are different, you are subtracting to get the middle term. And the first blank must have the larger number. And you're going to see that in the past. But these are the same signs. Okay, Lupe, here's what I'm going to do. I am now going to take this 40 and this 60, and I'm going to multiply them together. Now, this is going to give me 600. Okay. Now, I'm going to start off. Now, I like to put the smaller factor 15 plus 40 first. Well, if I add these two numbers together, I'm getting 55. This is 49. 55 is too big. Okay. Well, how am I going to figure what to use? Well, what I'm going to do is to then say, okay, this 15 is 3 times 5. Well, let's make life a little easier. Let's go down to 10, which is 2 times 5. Well, if I take 10 and I divide it into 600, I get 60. Well, I'm going in the wrong direction. Well, let's go down something. 5 times 3 was 15. 5 times 4 is 20. 20 plus 30. Oh, I'm getting closer. That's 50. I'm going in the right direction. Now, then I'm going to take 5 times 5 is 25. Okay. Well, if I take 600 and I divide by 25, notice what I get? 24. Yay! That gives me 49. So that means I'm going to put 25x here, 24x here. Now, can I switch it and put 24x in the first blank? Yes. When they're the same, it doesn't matter. But if you subtract, the bigger number always goes in the first blank. Well, as you can see, this is going to give me 5x, which is 8x minus 5. Now, don't forget, I have that negative. Now here, the greatest common factor is 3. This is 8x minus 5. But be very careful right here. I get 8x minus 5 times 5x minus 3. A has to be smaller, which means this 5 has got to be my A, x minus b. This 8 has got to be my cx minus d. So therefore, A is 5, B is 3, C is 8, D is 5. Okay. Any question with this? Watch this line. Because Adam, 10 times 4 does give you 40. But when you factor it out, there isn't a 10 here. Okay. And remember, the opposite of factoring is to FOIL. Yes, you ditch the 40 plus 15 because it adds to 55. The middle number, Joanna, is 49. You've got to find that mystery term. The middle number is what you want to find. Because the two blanks have the same sign, 40 plus 15 doesn't work. Well, now you need to decide, okay, which two numbers still multiply together to give me 600, but I got to get 49 in the middle. Okay. Now, I want to do this one. Okay. Now, this is where I need to show you mom again. Now, notice how mom is written up here. Oh, it's not letting me, okay, right here. Notice that it has these little things. Now, this is a binomial. And a binomial, see the word bi? Bi means two. Okay. Well, how do we use that to our advantage? This 4x squared is 2x times 2x. See the word bi? Two identical factors. Two identical factors. And for some reason, my pen doesn't like me. Two identical factors. By